Okay, so welcome back. We are working on problem number 9, which is the last problem in this section, and it's kind of a wind down. It kind of puts together a whole bunch of concepts, not just from section 1.3, but also 1.2 and 1.1. So let's dive in. The graph of the curve y equals x to the fourth is graphed below. So just like a tip, in this class, anytime you get a problem, it's a good idea to take a derivative. So just for the heck of it, let's take the derivative. So I have f of x equals x to the fourth. So the derivative, to do derivatives, we know we are going to bring down the power, and then we'll do 4 minus 1, so the power minus 1, and then simplify, 4x cubed. So then let's read the problem. What is the slope at x equals 0.8? Well, luckily, we took a derivative because the derivative tells us all about the slope of the original equation. So the slope is going to be f prime of 0.8. So f prime of 0.8 is going to be 4 times 0.8 to the third power. That is something I will need a calculator for. Okay, 4, oh, sorry, my calculator's bugging out a little bit. 4 times 0.8 to the third power. That is 2.048. Excellent. Okay, same question, but what is the slope at x equals 0.4? So same thing, I'll just plug it in. So 4 times 0.4 to the third power. Do that in my calculator real quick. That's 0.256. So at this point, I like to just make sure this sort of makes sense logically. So 0.4 is in here somewhere, and 0.8 is next to it. It does make sense to me that 0.8 is steeper than 0.4. So that seems to check out. They're both positive, which is good. So I feel like we can say these are probably right. So part C, where does y equals x to the fourth have a slope of 4? This is a different question. We're not asking for the slope at a specific point. We want to know where the slope is 4. So instead of plugging it in, I'm going to set it equal to our slope equation, like so. This is an important distinction between like this problem and this problem. It's worth making sure you really get that. So our slope equation was 4x cubed. So the 4's are going to cancel, or you could think of it as dividing by 4. And you get 1 equals x cubed. And then we'll cube root both sides, which is just 1. X equals 1. So now the question is, does that make sense to you? That at x equals 1, do you think the slope has a slope of 4? And actually, yeah, that does seem good to me. That seems right. Yeah, I feel like that checks out. Okay, so similar question to part C. Where does y equals x to the fourth have a slope of -10? So I would do f prime of x equals -10, or 4x cubed equals -10. So I would divide by 4. I get x cubed equals -10 divided by 4. And then I would cube root everything. X equals -10 over 4 cube rooted. Okay, calculator time. -2.5 raised to the 1 divided by 3. Okay, that gives me -1.35-ish. So I would circle this as my final answer because it's the perfect answer, but I would look up on my screen, does negative 1.35 make sense? It's having a slope of 10. Yeah, I think I could believe that also, a slope of negative 10. Okay, so this is the last part of this problem. Find the point where the function has a tangent line that is parallel to the line y equals negative 1/2 x plus 3. So parallel to the line means same slope. So I need the point where the function has the same slope as negative 1/2. So that's like saying f prime of x. Ooh, that was not very pretty. F prime of x equals negative 1/2. So 4x cubed equals negative 1/2. And dividing by 4, so x cubed equals negative 1/2 divided by 4, which is a negative 1/8. And then I'm going to cube root that. X equals the cube root of negative 1/8. So one thing I just want to briefly say right here is right now you should test your calculator. If your calculator gives you cube root, if you type in cube root of negative 1/8, or you do negative 1/8 to the 1/3 power, if you get nothing, you need a new calculator. If your calculator says negative 1/2, that's a great thing because that's the right answer. So that's what your calculator should say. If it doesn't say that, let me know pronto. So this is what we think the answer is, but we'll check it like always. So coming up here, negative 1/2 is in here somewhere. And we're saying that the slope is down 1/2. So yeah, I could believe in there somewhere has a slope of negative 1/2. So I think that checks with my intuition pretty well. So like I said before, this incorporates a lot of stuff, and section 1.3 is hard. It's got a lot of really cool things that are going to be fundamental to the course, but I'm not going to lie, it's tough. So please ask questions on the discussion board so we can work through it together. Thanks.